Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Today's date is March 2nd, and it's time to get you all caught up on today's top stories and headlines.
Officials in the U.S. and Israel spent weeks tracking Iran's supreme leader ahead of Saturday's strikes.
We have now confirmed this morning that Iran's retaliatory strikes on American bases have killed 4 U.S. service members. Right now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is holding a press briefing on the strikes. Washington correspondent Vinay Simlat is listening in on Hegseth's briefing, and he's joining us live now with those details.
Yeah, Julia Kiana, Secretary Hegseth said that he believes the United States should move forward with this mission in a way that would make those 4 service members proud. U.S. Central Command released that update early this morning. They say 4 U.S. service members were killed in action. They initially said 3 and 5 were seriously wounded. They said the 4th service member was seriously wounded, eventually succumbed to their injuries. So far, the U.S. military has not released any other details, which is standard. They say they will 24 hours after the family is notified. The war is widening across the Middle East after U.S. and Israeli airstrikes in Iran. Iran's retaliation targeted Israel, a British military base in Cyprus, and closed airports across the Middle East. The attacks follow a joint U.S. and Israeli operation targeting Iran's leadership and nuclear sites early Saturday morning. A barrage of missiles killed top Iranian officials, including the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei.
This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands.
U.S. Central Command says 4 U.S. service members were killed in action. President Donald Trump says more could follow.
We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case.
Pro-Iranian regime protesters clashed with security at U.S. embassies across the Middle East. On Capitol Hill, reaction to the U.S. military operation is split mostly along party lines.
It's a noble cause to stand up to terrorism.
The notion that this was an attack to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions is a joke.
And Secretary Hegseth responded to some of the criticisms from the Democrats who say that President Trump had promised not to get the U.S. involved in more foreign wars. He said, the president has said that nation building in the last 20 years of American nation building is dumb. He says this is the opposite. He says the U.S. has a clear objective, that is to destroy Iranian missile production, destroy the Navy, the security infrastructure, and make sure that country never gets nuclear weapons.
And Vinay, access to the Strait of Hormuz has been shut off. About a quarter of the world's oil flows through there. So how will this affect the world economy?
Yeah, already oil prices here in the United States have increased by about 9%. Other countries in that region are trying to increase their oil production to offset some of the changes. But analysts say if this war goes on for a long time, you could see gas prices and oil prices rise. Already, the country of Qatar has announced that it is stopping its liquefied natural gas production.
Thank you so much, Vinay.
And we are following that press briefing at the Pentagon on Operation Fury. We were hearing from Pete Hegseth. Now we are seeing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Listening in on the briefing.
Degrade, deny, and destroy Iran's ability to conduct and sustain combat operations. On the U.S. side, this marked the culmination of months and in some cases years of deliberate planning and refinement against this particular target set. From precision strikes against key military infrastructure to persistent intelligence and targeting integration to the close coordination of the components across vast distances, this operation again demonstrated America's reach, readiness, and professionalism, and that of our joint united force. It was historic not only in the operational scope, but in the level of joint integration displayed across every element of the joint force. And as I said earlier, this work is just beginning and will continue. So now to talk a little bit about setting the force.
A press briefing on Operation Fury. And we will continue to follow this story both on air and on wavy.com. We're going to take a short break.
The president with credible options should act.
Switching gears now, actually, we're going to go to a news story this morning. A report from the Virginia State Crime Commission found that some Virginia law enforcement agencies are using automatic license plate recognition, and that may have violated the law.
The system uses cameras to read plates and solve crimes and also find missing people. 10 on your side's Kagan Hughes joins us live from the control room to explain. Kagan.
Yeah, Julia, Kiana, the report says the results of the automatic license plate recognition, or ALPR, uses surveys sent to law enforcement agencies to make sure they're following the new statutes that took effect in July of 2025. Now, that survey found that several law enforcement agencies have violated the new statute, and the report also noted that 1/3 of law enforcement agencies did not respond to the survey. Law enforcement agencies also had to indicate which vendor they use, with the majority using flock safety cameras, which all the 77 cities here use. The Virginia State Crime Commission says measures will be taken this year to address the issues. Some of the new rules stated that the data from the camera systems have to be deleted after 21 days unless it's needed for an investigation or lawsuit, and it cannot be shared with out-of-state or federal agencies. The report found that 21% of agencies have kept ALPR data longer, and 21 agencies gave access to out-of-state or federal agencies. Kagan Hughes, 10 on your side.
3 people, including the gunman, are dead and 14 others are hurt after a mass shooting in Austin, Texas, early yesterday morning.
Now the FBI says the shooting may have been an act of terrorism. Officials say the gunman was wearing a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" over another shirt with an Iranian flag. People briefed on the investigation say the 53-year-old suspect is originally from Senegal, who came to the U.S. in 2006 and was a naturalized U.S. citizen.
Obviously, it's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. Again, it's still too early to make a determination on that. That's why we are investigating it very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department.
3 of the wounded are currently in critical condition. City leaders say the quick actions of officers and EMS on scene helped save lives.
Virginia Beach delegate Barry Knight was laid to rest over the weekend. He died last month after a long battle with cancer. Former Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin shared some kind words for the lawmaker.
So today, as we celebrate a great life, we celebrate the many accomplishments of this great man. We, I think, can all take with us his greatest gift, which is how he showed us how to live a good life.
Knight served in the House of Delegates since 2009 and was reelected with the new 98th District in 2023. He was 71 years old.
Well, if you've been on the fence about buying a new house, now might be the time. Mortgage rates are below 6%, lower than they have been in 3 years. Rates could change again next month with a new unemployment report set to be released by the government.
A federal judge grants a preliminary injunction against a controversial Virginia law. The law requires social media platforms to limit children's use to 1 hour a day. The lawsuit was filed against the Commonwealth by trade association Net Choice. In the ruling, the judge says Net Choice will likely succeed in its claim of First Amendment violations when it goes to trial, but it would prohibit Virginia from enforcing the social media restrictions while that legal process is ongoing.
On the next Wavy Science Lab, meteorologist Jeremy Wheeler talks about an unusual subject, weird lights.
So here's my example, and this is my own black light, my own personal stash. And this is, yes, it's from college days, long time ago. We used to use these quite a bit. But here's the cool thing. Check this out. I'll put it in full. And so this was in my garage. I had UV light, turned it on. Yep, look how things changed. I mean, look how everything changes. That was
In this episode, Jeremy will talk about weird lights that actually surround us every day. And they're things like street lights and LEDs. And yes, he'll use his very own black light. That episode airs today on Wavy Plus at 10 a.m.
People here in Hampton Roads were shocked looking at their energy bills last month. Dominion Energy says there are a few reasons why your bill was so high. One reason, Virginia had some cold winter temperatures. Dominion says a hike rate increase also went into effect this year. Officials say that hike offsets the price of fuel and equipment. But there are some things you can do to help lower your bill. You can sign up for Dominion's budget plan that uses your income to create a consistent monthly payment.
When you are expecting to pay the same amount month to month, you're not going to be surprised by an unusually high winter bill.
The Dominion Alert program will also make you aware of how much energy is being used.
A nationwide search is underway for Chesapeake Public Schools' next superintendent. Now, this comes after Superintendent Dr. Jared A. Cotton announced he will retire on July 1st. The school board is looking for someone with a demonstrated record of effective educational and organizational leadership. The deadline to apply is March 12th. We have a link to the application on wavy.com.
A beloved Norfolk teacher, Caroline Hendricks, was honored over the weekend, the community raising money for scholarships. Hendricks taught at Ocean Air Elementary School. Unfortunately, she died after a shooting on New Year's Eve in 2017. More than $12,000 was raised so far. In your health headlines this morning, the measles outbreak is costing the U.S. millions of dollars. A new report from the Yale School of Public Health shows if measles vaccination rates continue to drop 1% every year for the next 5 years, it could cost the U.S. $1.5 billion a year. Yale researchers predicted increases in measles cases, hospitalizations, and additional costs. And based on the projections, nearly $1 billion would be needed for public health response efforts. That includes surveillance and contact tracing.
A growing number of parents are refusing an injection that protects newborns against life-threatening brain bleeds. That's what a new study says. Babies who don't get a vitamin K injection at birth are 81 times more likely to suffer dangerous bleeding that often leads to brain damage. The study found about 63% of infants with vitamin K deficiency bleeding suffered a brain hemorrhage, 40% developed long-term brain damage, and 14% died. Experts say babies are born with very low levels of vitamin K, an essential vitamin needed for blood to clot normally. The study will be presented at an upcoming meeting of the American Academy of Neurology.
We're on your side with a recall alert. This one is for cat food sold in several states, including North Carolina. Now, this is the Quest cat food chicken option. Now, this is being recalled due to low thiamine levels. The FDA says it is essential for cats and diets low in vitamins that could cause a deficiency. Early signs of the deficiency in an affected cat could include decreased appetite, salivation, vomiting, and weight loss. Now, you can return that food to the place of purchase for a full refund.
Former President Bill Clinton released a statement following his testimony before the House Oversight Committee on Friday. He posted it to his X account.
Clinton's statement on social media largely reiterates points made to Congress. He claims he saw nothing and did not participate in Epstein's crimes. He also says that he had no knowledge that it was happening.
I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic violence, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, not the sweetheart deal that we got.
His Friday deposition is the first time a sitting or former president has testified before Congress in more than 4 decades. The former president says that he hopes that his testimony will help bring justice to Epstein's victims.
Well, happy Monday. Some of you may have heard that we do have a total lunar eclipse happening tonight into the early morning hours of your Tuesday. It really happens from 6 to 7 a.m. But unfortunately, we've got clouds and rain, so we will not be able to view that total lunar eclipse. The best view is going to be across the West Coast. They have that totality view. We would not completely have totality view anyways here along the East Coast. What we are dealing with, what's bringing us those clouds and that rain, we've got a system that is that cold front that moved through yesterday. It's stalling to our south, an area of high pressure to our north. In between that, we're seeing some of that wintry precipitation. Looks like that rain snow line has shifted a little bit more north, so not expecting to really see much in terms of any winter precipitation for us here across Hampton Roads. We are going to be seeing some rain moving in throughout the rest of this afternoon and continuing into Tuesday morning. Then the rest of the week, we'll be seeing our temperatures on the rise, eventually reaching into the 70s, and we will be seeing in an unsettled stretch, so we've got a couple more slight rain chances out there, as well as seeing more cloud cover. We stay with these breezy winds through the rest of the day today and into tonight. Winds die down as we're heading into the day tomorrow. We'll see some rain becoming more scattered throughout the rest of this afternoon and this evening across Accomack County. Maybe a couple of snow sprinkles out there, but not really expecting to see anything for accumulation. We'll see mostly rain across Hampton Roads, and that continues through tonight, and then a few lingering showers into your Tuesday morning, clearing out of here by Tuesday afternoon. As we head into Wednesday, it looks like another quick round of a few rain showers in the morning hours, and then that will be clearing out for us as well. So for the rest of today, expecting to see some of those scattered rain showers. Temperatures will be around those lower 40s for this evening, dropping down to the upper 30s for tonight. Still seeing those scattered rain showers and breezy winds, so still have that rain gear on hand. As we get into tomorrow, we'll see that rain coming to an end. We will be seeing our temperatures starting to warm up, mid to upper 50s. We'll be in the mid to the upper 60s on Wednesday, and then those 70s for the end of the work week into the weekend. Could see a couple of showers out there as we get into your Sunday afternoon and evening.
Thank you, Christy. New at midday, Virginia Beach police are investigating a DUI-related crash that happened near the oceanfront. It happened just after 2 Sunday morning at a gas station on Cypress Avenue and 22nd Street. Police say they took one person to the hospital with not life-threatening injuries. They say one of the drivers, 21-year-old Michael Jean-Baptiste, ran off after the crash. Detectives say they canvassed the area and eventually found him. He also went to the hospital and was charged with DUI, hit and run, and obstruction of justice. A man accused of road rage went on a stabbing rampage in Fairfax County yesterday. 2 people and a dog are dead and 4 others are hurt after a stabbing on Interstate 495 in Annandale, Virginia. A release issued by the Virginia State Police said a trooper fatally shot the suspect after responding to a report of that road rage incident on I-495. This happened just at 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday. State police say the suspect had confronted the trooper with a knife. The trooper was not hurt in this altercation, but authorities did find 4 stabbing victims at the scene. State police say a 39-year-old woman and a dog were the ones who died. The stabbing remains under investigation. Now back to what we know from the president on this 3rd day of Operation Epic Fury. President Trump's administration is making the official case for the U.S.-Israeli effort to crush the Iranian regime. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth, along with the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, spoke this morning about the joint operation with Israel in a press conference. Right now, we know that 4 Americans have died and 4 others were hurt. Trevor Shirley has the details.
And we could see a vote on that effort by the end of this week. As the war widens across the Middle East, Washington lawmakers are responding, split mostly down party lines.
We're not done yet, but when it is done, Iran will no longer be capable of being the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Congressional Republicans remain largely in support of the president's actions.
President Trump was right that it's absolutely vital and necessary now to address that threat.
While Democrats say the president has exceeded his authority without an endgame.
This might be an exercise more in performance than in conscientious, practical, pragmatic strategy that gets you what you want at the end.
The notion that this was an attack to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions is a joke.
This week, members of Congress are expected to vote on a bipartisan war powers resolution that could limit President Trump's ability to continue military strikes on Iran.
We can celebrate the possibility of a new chapter for them without wanting our soldiers to go to war and our troops to be killed in a war without a congressional debate and vote.
However, that legislation is not expected to pass. Congress is also expected to get additional classified briefings on the military action throughout this week. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley.
We have team coverage on this developing story. Lawmakers are weighing in. Congress is set to reconvene tomorrow and may take up 2 war powers votes, 1 in each chamber. Meanwhile, Senator Mark Warner is talking to students today at William and Mary. 10 on your side's Andy Fox continues our coverage.
I have covered U.S. Senator Mark Warner since the early 90s when he was governor of Virginia. I have never seen him in a position where he has been more direct and more frank about an issue than he is about the issue involving Iran. I asked him the question, what do you not know now that you want to know?
I want to know from the President of the United States, what is our goal in Iran? What was so necessary to act now that allowed American soldiers now to be killed? For what purpose? Was it Iran's nuclear program? Was it their ballistic missiles? Was it regime change? And particularly if it's regime change, most of the intelligence says who comes next may even be worse than what we've seen.
I asked Senator Warner, what is his message to military families, to those who are on the front line?
My message is, I saw no intelligence that indicated there was an imminent threat from Iran against American forces. So this means this is a war of choice by Donald Trump. Presidents can have a war of choice, but they are obligated under the Constitution to make the case to the American people and to get Congress's approval before you enter in to a war of choice. He has not done so. He owes that to the American people, and more important, he owes that to the American military, many from Hampton Roads, who were deployed literally on the front lines of this war.
They can play. That's the ruling from a Portsmouth judge this afternoon for the Manor High School girls basketball team. This after the Virginia High School League last week found the team forfeited a tournament game because they had an ineligible player. 10 on your side's Brett Hall has been covering this and was in the courtroom today.
Portsmouth Circuit Court Judge Brenda Spry late this afternoon ruling that a sophomore on the Manor High School girls basketball team is not ineligible and that the team did not actually forfeit their game against Gloucester High School's team in the quarterfinals. Actually, they won that game. They played it, and the team certainly feels like they're winners today. There were cheers as team members exited the courthouse, knowing they'd be able to play on the court they're more familiar with in hopes of a state title. Hopes that were dashed last week when the Manor High School athletic director says he was notified of reports that one of the team's players was ineligible for postseason play. In court testimony, it was revealed the student in question transferred from Norfolk Academy to Manor in early December. Under new Virginia High School League rules, that makes a player ineligible for postseason play without a waiver. The judge found, however, that VHSL rules were not followed when it comes to allowing the player to more or less appeal ineligibility findings. In fact, the judge said everyone was consulted but the player. Following the ruling, we caught up with Mustangs coach Roger Smith.
That's the first word that comes to my mind, vindication. Feel real good about the outcome, the judge's decision, and allowing us to get back into the game. And all we want to do is play and actually show what we could do on the court. All the other extra stuff has been a distraction, but I'm just glad it's over right now.
Of course, now the question is, when do they play? Who do they play? The judge said they weren't going to draft a new bracket, and the Portsmouth School District says they're going to await guidance from VHSL. The executive director of VHSL was in the courtroom today. He said, "What do you think?" when I asked him for comment. Outside the Portsmouth Courthouse, Brett Hall, 10 on your side.